Hello and welcome back to the English Education Lab podcast, where we dive into all things English language learning. And I am your host, Carolina, and today's episode is going to get a little scientific, but don't worry, it's not going to be heavy. We are going to be talking about how your brain adapts when learning English as a second language. The science behind how we learn is truly fascinating, and understanding it can actually make your language learning journey a lot easier. It also helps explain why things sometimes feel so tough at the beginning, but eventually get easier over time. So let's break this down. When you first start learning English, your brain is working overtime. It's like being in a brand new city, lots of new streets, unfamiliar landmarks, and sometimes you feel like you've just taken the wrong turn. But here's the amazing part. Your brain is actually adapting and creating new neural pathways to help you learn faster and more effectively. This is where neuroplasticity comes in. Now, don't worry, I promise you we'll break that down in a moment. So what is neuroplasticity? It's basically just a fancy word for your brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. So when you're learning English, your brain is essentially rewiring itself to accommodate the new words, structures, and sounds. How cool is that? It's like building new roads in that new city of yours. At first, these roads might be a little bumpy, and it might take longer to get from point A to point B. But the more you practice, the smoother and faster those routes become. Researchers have found that when you immerse yourself in learning a language like English, your brain is constantly forming these new connections. In fact, studies have shown that bilingual people, so someone who speaks more than one language, have more gray matter in areas of the brain that are responsible for memory, attention, and language skills. So every time you learn a new word or sentence, you're actually making your brain more efficient at processing language. It's quite literally like a workout for your brain. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, that sounds great, but why do I still struggle with words sometimes? Well, here's the thing. Even though your brain is creating these new pathways, it takes time for them to fully develop. So when you start learning English, those new pathways are like teeny tiny little paths in a forest. They're not clear yet, and you might feel like you're kind of walking around in circles. But as you practice more and more, these paths become clearer and clearer, and eventually you'll be able to navigate them with ease. This is why practice is so crucial. Think of it like planting a tree. At first, you don't really see much happening, but with regular care and attention, that tree grows stronger and taller. Your brain actually works pretty much in the same way. The more you practice listening, speaking, reading, and writing in English, the stronger those pathways get. And that's what we mean by immersing yourself in the language. Now, all of my students will tell you that I give them this tip over and over and over again. Immerse yourself in the language. Expose yourself to the language as much as possible. So that means listen to podcasts, read books, watch the news, watch the YouTube channels that you like. Immerse yourself as much as possible. Take every opportunity you can to read, write, speak, and listen to the language. And here's the cool part. Research has actually shown that the more you engage with a language in real-world contexts, the quicker your brain picks it up. So don't just memorize words. Use them in conversations. Watch English movies. Listen to podcasts like this one, and make English a part of your daily life. Your brain loves this kind of active engagement and truly responds to it. Now, let's talk a little bit about fluency and why fluency isn't just about speed. I think there's some confusion around this. A lot of people think that fluency just means speaking fast or using complex vocabulary, but fluency is actually more about comfort and ease. It's about being able to understand and respond quickly without having to pause every time you need a word. Your brain needs some time to make those connections strong enough to retrieve information quickly. It's not about memorizing memorization. It's actually about making those connections automatic. And yes, it might feel like it takes a while to get there, especially when you're at the beginning stages of learning. That's very understandable. But here's the science to back this up. Studies have actually shown that when you are constantly exposed to new language input, whether it's through reading, listening, or speaking, your brain is getting better at predicting what comes next in conversations. How amazing is that? So the more you immerse yourself in the language, the more your brain anticipates words, phrases, and responses, making conversations smoother and faster. I mean, that's pretty incredible, isn't it? So here's another fun piece of science for you. Emotion actually plays a huge role in how well we learn a language. So have you ever noticed that you remember things better when they're tied to a positive emotion? For example, if you learn a new word while laughing at a funny video, your brain is much more likely to remember that word. Why? Because emotional experiences trigger the release of chemicals in your brain like dopamine, which helps strengthen memories. I know we're getting deep into the science here, but isn't this fascinating? So this is why finding ways to make learning English enjoyable is so vital. If you can associate learning with something fun, like listening to your favorite music in English or watching movies you love, you will have an emotional connection to the language. And that connection makes it easier for your brain to remember. So now let's talk a little bit about those moments when you feel like you are not improving as fast as you want, the frustration. So first off, do not panic. As I said earlier, your brain is working hard, even when it feels like it's not. It's just that the process of creating new connections takes time. Think of it as building a muscle. There are no instant results, but with consistent practice, you will start to see the progress. It's key to not give up, to keep going, and remember, small, consistent steps yield big results. That's one of my absolute favorite sayings, and it is so very true. Okay, so now, how do you speed things up? How can you boost your brain's learning power? All right, my friends, here are a few very simple tips to help you out. So, number one, practice regularly. Even 10 to 15 minutes a day can make a big difference. Consistency, like I just said, is key. Number two, immerse yourself in the language. This is a huge, huge one. Watch TV shows, listen to music, read books in English. The more you're exposed to the language, the better. Find something that speaks to you, something that you enjoy, and do it. Make it social. This is number three. Practice speaking with others. Language is all about communication, and using it in real conversations will help your brain make stronger connections. So go out there, get social, my friends. Trust me, it will make a difference. And lastly, number four, use emotions to your advantage. Find fun and engaging ways to learn. If you enjoy the process, I promise you are more likely to stick with it. So find a TV show that you like. Find a podcast that you enjoy. Basically, find fun and engaging ways to learn, my friends. Now, let's sum it all up. Learning English is definitely a mental workout, and your brain is doing some seriously heavy lifting. Neuroplasticity is the secret behind how your brain adapts and strengthens over time, making English more natural to speak and understand. Now, as we said, the key is practice, patience, and finding ways to enjoy the process. Your brain is constantly forming new connections, and with time, you'll find that speaking English becomes smoother and more effortless. Trust the process. Now, thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope this episode gave you a new perspective on the science behind language learning and how your brain is helping you get better at English every single day. Now, if you're looking for more ways to improve your English skills, check out the courses we offer at English Education Lab. Go ahead and read some of our blog posts. We are here to support you every single step of the way. In the meantime, my friends, I wish you a beautiful day no matter where you are in the world. no matter what time of the day it is, and I look very forward to catching up again on the next episode of the English Education Lab podcast.